Something people ask me a lot is, Lognog, how did you get so good so fast? When some people hear I went from intense to horrific skill in only around a year, they think I'm some sort of prodigy. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. Many people have equaled or even put my progression to shame. But most of us follow a certain set of principles, a lot of which came from top obbyists. And I'm here to share what they are, including what the player who had the fastest progression in obbying history did. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe, as only 2% of my viewers are subscribed. Okay, without further ado. Tip number 1. You need to play certain types of obbies. If you already play either specifically Eternal Towers of Hell, EToH fan games like T, or tiered obbies, you can skip to this timestamp here. But I do recommend watching the whole video as many connections will be made. If you don't play either towers or tiered obbies, however, the first tip is to, well, play one or a combination of these, and specifically these. Why? Well, in basically all of obbying history, all of the best obbyists came from either EToH or tiered obbies with very little exceptions. And they are the ones who continue to push the human limit when it comes to obbying. Other obby games like Flood Escape 2, Try.os, or Tower of Hell simply lag far behind when it comes to the relative skill of their players versus tower or tiered players. Now, sorry if I'm being harsh, but if you don't understand what I'm getting at, the only obby types that you are going to see elite levels of skill with are tiered obbies and towers. But I say that with an asterisk, as there are two exceptions. The first one being time trial players. Players like DD, I'm Very God at Obbies, or Ecotism, showing that they can reach horrific or even unreal skill level with their background largely being time trials. And this isn't for no reason either, but I'll elaborate later. The second exception is top jumps. Almost all top jumps players already play tiered obbies, but top jumps can be very effective at boosting your skill as well. So now that you're hopefully playing either tiered obbies or EToH towers, because this guide largely relies on it, you might think you can just go ahead and beat whatever you want, but this is far from the truth. Tip number 2, stop playing filler obbies. This should come as no surprise, but if you are, for example, playing towers that are 2 difficulties or lower than your hardest tower, this is 100% stagnating your progression, and you are not becoming better at obbies. The completionist route, popular among EToH players, is quite literally the worst route you can possibly take, as you're not getting better by playing obbies that are easy for you. The only reason you should play obbies that are easy for you is for fun, or as a break from harder obbies. Trust me, people care a lot more about how good you are than whether or not you beat every tower in Zone 3. Tip number 3, you should all jump or practice obbies that are extremely hard for you, or in other words, way too hard for you to beat. This and the next 2 points are probably the most important points I have in this video, so listen up. It's also the part where I reveal the fastest progression of all time, which comes from this guy, VZ3X. This guy was a former top Rivals player who befriended top obbyists like Monsters of Block, Gene the Obbyist, and Exexic, and got a lot of help from them. And well, TLDR, in only 2 months, he beat Tower of Wigglecore Classic, ranked at low-mid horrific. And in 3 months, he got the Unreal Tower, Tower of Sudden Death, in 2 runs before quitting out of, well, boredom. So what did he do to become so good so fast? Well, he basically only played obbies that were 1 or 2 difficulties above his hardest accomplishment, with his most practiced being Tower of Wigglecore, having most of his hours almost purely in all-jump runs of this obby. He would, however, play many obbies, like Tower of Sudden Death, Tower of QWERTY Uiop, Tower of Nilcore, and a slew of tier 16s and 17s. But all of these weren't really randomly chosen. Almost all of them fit into certain types of gameplay. Tip number 4, camera control and technical gameplay should be your focus. Now, if you're below the soul-crushing skill level, gameplay types that differ immensely don't really exist yet, but try your best to follow along. But if you are soul-crushing skill level, and especially soul-crushing plus, the obbies you should be all jumping and or practicing for skill boosting should be either technical or camera control based, but preferably a mix of both. This is largely for 2 reasons. The first reason, cam control literally helps you with like everything you play. Your camera control is practically a measure of your raw skill. Take it from the fastest progressor in obbying history. This also ties into movement and comfortability, which I'll cover soon, which are the most important things when it comes to getting good at obbies. And having amazing cam control and movement is something literally every top player has with zero exceptions. And secondly, playing technical gameplay boosts one simple thing that many people don't quite consider, which is physics knowledge. Physics knowledge, I would argue, is the second most important thing to have after good camera control and raw skill, as you can't utilize great physics knowledge without having great raw skill beforehand. But specifically training both of these skill sets at the same time will probably forever be the best way to improve. Tip number 5, movement and comfortability are key. This section is kind of long, but in my opinion, the most important one. This may sound shocking to many people, but if you tend to be a slower and methodical player, that's almost certainly holding you back. Now, it's normal to slow down if you're at the last floor of a tower, as nerves set in and you want to be careful, but that's not what I'm talking about. To see what I mean, I'll show you some videos of top players doing the first floor of some of the hardest obbies in Roblox. I've heard many people say that they think these players are speedrunning on purpose, but I'm here to tell you, not really. These top players are just so comfortable in what they're playing that they can do these super hard jumps at this speed with ease. In case you're missing the point, playing fast, cam control, and comfortability are all connected. Remember the time trial players I mentioned earlier? All three have a specialty for, you guessed it, cam control, because speedrunners almost solely rely on good camera control to do what they do. These players are also particularly comfortable in their movement because of their good cam control. Okay, I think you get it. And yes, in case you're wondering, basically every top player ever has played fast like this, with me not being able to provide a single example of a slow and methodical Unreal player. If you do play slow, what that means is you have a lack of comfortability and therefore a lack of raw skill and cam control. And training those should now become your main focus. Keep in mind, I'm also not telling you to play at the same speed as Jihadamad's Tower of Monochromatic Haze verification, as this was probably the best showing of generally amazing movement and cam control as of the time I'm uploading this video. If you want a more realistic example for yourself, however, I would actually consider Adamir to put on a great display of movement, speed, and comfortability in his gameplay, as you don't beat your first catastrophic in 20 hours without movement like this. A good example is to watch Adamir's completion of Tower of Descent into Exile, and try to mimic his pace and movement throughout whatever new hardest tower you're doing for yourself. If you can't come anywhere close to mimicking this in the tower you're trying to beat, that's a sign you should work on your movement and comfortability. Tip number 6, make big difficulty jumps. Hey, editing Lognog here. Now, I forgot to mention, this is something that's only really effective if you already do the practicing / all jumping strategy I mentioned earlier. But anyway, let's continue. This is something that I simply don't see people doing enough. Making big difficulty jumps in your hardest beaten obbies ensures you get better faster as you're playing harder gameplay. While it does come with the caveat of generally lower consistency, I would argue I would not be where I am today if my progression didn't include making big jumps, which if you wanted an example, my progression looked like this. I went from Tower of Table Flipping to Tower of Thinning Layers to Tower of Hopeless Hell to Tower of Impossible Movement, then to Tower of Augmented Misery. Oh yeah, and I did all that in 3 months. So jumping definitely works. Number 7, you probably don't practice enough. Here's something that may shock some people. When top players are grinding for a new hardest, a lot of them actually spend more than half the grind just practicing the obby rather than putting real attempts in. And it has shown to be effective in boosting general consistency throughout the grind. I'm gonna personally show off Exer's practicing strategy he showed me, as it was very effective for me and a few others, so shout out to him. His strategy is actually quite simple. Try to all floor every floor of the tower 3 times in a row, which in simpler terms means beating floor 1 3 times in a row without falling, then doing the same with floor 2, and so on. In my only 6-day grind on the mid-horrific tower, Tower of Weirdcore, using this strategy helped me achieve a floor 5 personal best, as well as a run from floor 6 to 10, when I technically haven't even beaten a horrific tower yet. To add on to this category, I want to advocate that all jumping and or practicing obbies that are way above your skill level should become a regular thing you do almost every time you play obbies, as it's actually shocking how fast you can improve if you just repeat all jumps on difficult camera control or technical obbies. Bonus tips. I would argue that raw skill improves you more than consistency, so the advice here is if you play towers, try to aim for towers that are shorter or rely more on raw skill rather than endurance. If you play tiered obbies, then you are already in the clear here. Keep in mind that this is just a game, and caring too much can lead to some not so great outcomes. Playing a general mix of obbies is good, as long as the majority of it is cam control and technical. This ensures you have a balance and can apply your skill set to almost anything, but are still prioritizing the most important skill sets. A weird psychology trick is to never imagine the win itself, but only imagine the journey it takes to get there. Especially if you're not close to beating the obby, do not imagine the win. Having competition, or friends that are better or close to your skill level, can help if you're generally competitive. It also makes the pathway to becoming good seem less daunting, as you have someone close to you who has already done it, for example. If you seem to lack consistency, it's helpful to not do a new hardest as your next obby, but do 1 to 2 obbies that are similar difficulty or just very slightly easier than your current hardest obby. This will almost always help boost your consistency, as this route in this video can cause a lack of consistency like it did for me. Keep in mind that consistency usually comes with time, and there's not really a super good and fast way to become a very consistent player. And yes, as someone who did a bunch of consistency-based towers, even as new hardests, those didn't really help. Consistency simply comes with time. In the last part of this video, create your plan. You should set out what you want to do, and set your sights high, but not unreasonably. If you want an example on what to do, I am personally, as of making this video, am probably around low horrific skill based off my Tower of Weird Core progress. And what I do is mainly all jump Tower of Wiggle Core over and over again, and I've recently incorporated Tower of Sudden Death, Tower of Monochromatic Haze, and Sepula. And yes, everything I said in this video, I've basically put into practice for myself, and I've never been improving faster than I am right now. Even my friend, who's only been doing something similar to me for a single week, has said he already sees a notable raw skill boost by simply all jumping a few horrifics. I will leave a list of some of the best camera control and technical towers for you to use as practicing tools here. And remember, only go up by 1 or 2 difficulties depending on how good you are right now. If you want to do tiered obbies, that also works just as well, but accessibility is limited in a lot of cases, and I won't be providing specific examples here. Keep in mind, if you do decide to take the all jumping / practicing path, it's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to struggle, and that's by design. Hell, Tower of Wiggle Core took me 90 minutes to all jump for the first time, but now I've done it in almost 11 minutes only 2 months later. It's all about improving. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, see ya.